What is good, everybody? I'm back, and today we have an in the bag video. So I'm going to be going through this bag here, just talking about the molds I throw, and kind of just why I throw them and how they fly for me. So without further ado, let's get into it. Before I get into this in the bag video, I first want to say I throw right hand, backhand, 300 to 330 feet on my backhands, and I'd probably say 330 to 350 forehand. I think that'll help give you a little bit more insight on how these discs are throwing for me and why they're so unstable or more stable for me. Before I get into what I throw, I want to do a quick shout out. I just got this done by the Instagram name of Disc Golf Swag. So he did this die for me with my logo and did the blue behind it. I think it's pretty sweet. If you guys want a dyed custom disc, go out, check their page out, and give them a follow. So let's get into the bag. I am sporting the BX2 series grip bag. Shout out to my brother. I just got this bag for Christmas and he gifted it to me. So this is what I rock with. I got my name that he also did right in the front. So let's get into the side pockets and what I carry in there. First, here I have my mittens, because as you guys know, it's very cold out there, and these are a necessity out on the course. I promise you guys, if you don't have big mittens, I recommend these Carhartt mittens. These are the warmest when you're playing on the course. So got those. I got my new Chase and Chains wristbands. I got the Chase and Chains with the logo on the front, and on the back is just my Instagram. I keep these in my bag so when I see people out on the course, I can kind of tell them what I'm about, what I'm trying to do, and hand these out. So if you guys ever see me on the course, I'll give you a wristband. And on the other side, I don't have anything. Usually I either carry a beanie just because it's been cold out, but as of now, nothing. All right, let's start off with my putters. I carry two putters at all times, and I throw the Wardens. These things, this one's a little bit more beat in. This one's relatively new, just got for Christmas. So if I am throwing these, if I want something to flip up to flat, I'm throwing this beat in one. I just put it on a little hyzer, flips the flat, and just ride straight. Since this one's not as beat in, it's going to just kind of, it's still going to be pretty straight. You can put a little bit more power on it, and like I said, still pretty straight, and then it'll kind of dump out left just a little bit for a right-handed backhand player. Next, I carry two zones in the top pocket here. First, I have my Get Freaky. You guys probably either have one of these or know of them, the Brody Smith Get Freaky. I love these zones. I throw these both for forehand flicks. I really never throw them backhand. They're just so stable. If I throw it backhand, I'm always trying to tell myself, throw it harder than you think you should, because these things just dump left. In my opinion, the Get Freaky over the Z-Line zone is a little bit more straight and not as stable, but still both of these are going to fly pretty stable for me. And like I said, these are just the perfect little forehand flick up shots when I'm out on the course. So I always rock these, and when one gets really beat in, I'm going to throw another one in my bag because I absolutely love these. All right, next up, we have my mid-ranges. So I only carry 4 right now for the time being, and I pretty much cover all my bases. So first one, I have my Page Pierce Soul, and this thing, brand new, is gonna, you throw this straight, it's just gonna ride to the right and never really want to come back unless you put this on a little bit of hyzer. Then it's gonna ride straight. Now, this thing just right out of the hand wants to go right, but it's a great flip up to flat if you want to put it on that hyzer. Next up, I have the Meteor. I'd say this is just a step up from the Soul. This, I was just throwing it today actually, just to try to test it a little bit more, just because I don't throw it as much. I was putting this on a little bit of a hyzer, throwing full power. For me, pretty average thrower, but this was riding dead straight. So any of those shots where hyzer flip, this thing is perfect. I honestly should start throwing this more. I really don't throw it as often, but I'm beginning to think I should throw it more because it is just so dead straight. So, Discraft Meteor. Next up, I have an ESP Paul Macbeth Buzz. And this thing, for me, I'm only throwing this backhand, never really forehand. In fact, I guess I didn't say that, all my mid-ranges, I'm really not, other than if you want to, I guess the zone isn't really a mid, more a putt and approach, it says. But my mid-ranges, I don't flick. I haven't really got the hang of it yet. So all these are backhand discs. And for me, the Buzz is pretty straight. But at the end, you're definitely going to get a little bit of stability. And it's going to fade pretty good left. Not, obviously, it's a mid-range. Not too much left. But it is going to at the end of that flight. Now, I think my brother Austin, when we do his in the bag, is going to have a different opinion on this disc. His seems to fade right, but I'll let him talk about that a little bit more. But for me, this thing's going to be straight, and then it's going to dip left just a tad. So, ESP Buzz. And next up, like I said, I cover all my bases. So I have the Malta here. It is pretty beefy for a mid-range, in my opinion. You're probably going to want to throw it flat out of the box because this is going straight and dumping left pretty hard. This thing's pretty overstable, at least for me. Okay, moving on to fairway drivers. First, I have this D-Line FD, and this for me, thrown at full power, is going to come left a little bit, but relatively straight. So this a little on the understable side. I don't know if that's because it's pretty old and a little bit beat in. I really don't know how FDs fly. My numbers are even worn off of this. So, but for me, this disc is flying slightly understable and then is going to finish straight. This I'm throwing just to hit those gaps, you know, or at least try to hit those gaps. Something dead straight. Don't really have to worry about it flipping over too much. But yeah, FD. That's going to get me into the Halo Leopard 3. I love this disc, and I'm going to be honest, it flies similar to that FD. Actually, pretty much the same as that FD. So, another one I feel pretty comfortable throwing for those straight shots. And this one, I don't even know if you can see it in camera, but it does have like a ghost stamp that sparkles right in the center. The Halo plastic is a little bit more durable, and it's going to be a little bit more stable. It's really rather similar to that FD I just showed you. So, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Next up, we have the Champion T-Bird. This disc for me is relatively new. Austin actually is letting me throw it. I still owe him money. Maybe if I keep it in my bag. 7502 is the numbers on it. This is flying pretty straight and dumping left pretty hard for me, actually. I'm just throwing this if I need something accurate, straight, and then fades off left at the end of the flight. So I'm not really turning this over as of now anyway. Next up is my distance driver. So I bagged quite a few of these. I bagged 8 distance drivers, starting off with the lowest speed. Is this Valkyrie I just picked up from Hazy Shade. If you're in the Kettering area, go check them out. I am loving this disc. It's a little bit faster than that T-Bird, and also it's straighter, I feel like. So I'm throwing this pretty straight and then getting a consistent fade to the left. So it's going a little bit further than that T-Bird for me, but it is still flying pretty much the same as it also. Next up is the Discraft Raptor. This is almost like a Innova Firebird, if you guys have thrown those. Just the Discraft version, I feel like. I have it in the Z-Line plastic, and I am only throwing this forehand. So really, when I'm trying to rip one forehand, I can usually rely on this one to give me that fade to right at the end of the flight. I am loving this disc on forehand. Like I said, I don't throw it backhand, but forehand for me, it's going pretty straight and giving me a consistent, maybe even a little skip at the end, hard right. Next up, I have the Discraft Undertaker. This disc is just slightly understable with that -1. For me, I'm flipping this just a tad bit of hyzer, and this is flipping up to flat and just riding. This is one of my go-tos because it is a little bit understable for my backhand. Since I don't generate that much power yet through my backhand, I feel like this just flips to flat, rides for a little while, and then just a slight fade at the end, which is perfect most of the time, especially at my local course. Next up, higher speed understable disc drivers. So I have the Hades, and let me tell you, you throw this thing flat, even with my backhand, which is pretty average, throw this flat hard, it is just dumping hard right. It's incredible how understable this is. If you're throwing this flat, it is not going to want to come back to your left at all. Hyzer flips are great with the Hades. Next up, I have the Champion Turn. I want to say it's a little bit more stable than the Hades. For me, I'm not sure if it's because of the Champion plastic. It definitely could be a little bit more durable. It's flying relatively the same as that Hades, but it is going to want to come out of it a little bit quicker than the Hades would. It also gives me a little bit more distance because I do get that S turn with the turn. So if I'm going for distance, I'm throwing the turn. So these last 3 discs, I'm mainly throwing forehand. Next up is the Wraith. This Wraith for me, even on a slight hyzer, is going to give me that big S turn with my forehand. And so that's going to give me maximum distance. If I'm going to throw something as far as I can, I'm definitely going to go with the Wraith. Like I said, it just gives me that S turn with the forehand. So max distance, I'm going with the Wraith. So the last 2, also forehanding, like I said before. First up, I have the Page Pierce Nuke. This thing for me is a beast. I'm throwing this on any angle, and it's gonna want to fight back right. So it kind of gets me out of jail sometimes, and I can always trust it to have that hard right finish on my forehand. If I want to try to put a lot of power that I know is going to go pretty straight and kick back right hard, I'm going to go with the Page Pierce Nuke. And to finish things off, another custom that I won in a giveaway. Their Instagram is Disc Golf Days. Shout out to them for giving this away. It is a Sakibot Destroyer. This thing is really similar to this Nuke. Pretty much identical numbers, other than this is just slightly slower speed, this being a 12, this being a 13. This is pretty much being thrown for my heavy forehand shots too. I guess kind of depends what I feel more comfortable with that day. Alright guys, that's going to do it for my in the bag video. Hopefully I explained those somewhat decently and how they fly for me. Maybe that'll help you deciding what you want to put in your bag next. I do plan to have Austin do it in the bag video, see what he throws. He throws a lot harder and further than me. Like I said before, I throw relatively about 300 to 330 backhand, and then throwing probably around 350 on my forehand. So if you feel like you throw harder than I do, hopefully his in the bag video will be a little bit more in depth and help you guys out a little bit better about what you guys want to put in your bag. If you like the content, make sure you like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot and I really appreciate it. Go follow ChasinChains_ on Instagram, where I post there daily and post updates about my current YouTube videos. I'll see you on the next one.